Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Infinite Abilities Podcast. I am your host, Nick Yerhart, and we are here to encourage each other to find our own unique abilities. Let's go. All right, everyone. So today's episode is going to be great. I've been looking forward to this because I have Robin with me, and she's doing some awesome things. We just talked a couple weeks ago, had a great conversation. If I remember right, we went like way over our half hour limit on the time, but it was a good conversation. So, Robin, can you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, of course. Well, I'm Robin. Thank you so much, Nick, for having me on your podcast. I'm excited to be here and hopefully inspire people in your audience. I am a freelancer. I have my own business. I provide marketing services as well as having an academy with Spanish and Italian courses and travel courses. So that's part on the career side. And on the other side, I'm also an author. And originally, I'm Italian, but I've been living in North America now for 5 years. And yeah, we'll talk about all the travels later, but this is me in a very much nutshell.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know you've traveled a lot, so, and it was really awesome. And I, that is my number one goal in life is to have location freedom. I want to be able to just pack up and go anywhere I want, whenever I want, and be able to run my business from wherever I want. So I specifically set up my business so everything's online. I can take it with me. It's really awesome. So yeah,
I love that.
yeah. Now, when it comes, let's start with your story. I like to start with a story, and tell us like what got you to here. You know, what was your past like? What did you go through?
I love this question because my path was definitely not very A to B.
Uh-huh.
Right? It was not a straight path. I think I've pivoted in life a lot. Because it also comes with moving often, right? Like starting from zero a lot of times. It Yeah, like you start looking at it differently than the usual. Okay, you go to school, then you go to uni, then you get a job, a house, kids, all of these things. And so I hope that this story kind of helps people understand that it's okay to not have your next 10 years figured out. And there's nothing wrong with that. And it's okay if your life is, going in turning in different ways and it's not a straight
And
line.
it's okay to go outside the norm.
Exactly.
You don't have to go to college. You don't have to get married. You don't have to have children. What you have to do is what you want to do. You have to live the life that you want because you only get one. Don't waste it. It's so unfortunate because you see so many people that just live basic. They don't explore. They don't follow their dreams. They just settle. And they work a job for 50 years, retire, realize they don't have enough money still. And it's just like, go out there and enjoy life while you can. And then, set yourself up for a good retirement.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's mostly like fear. Like if you have this need and right and again call almost to do something in a different way. Again, I don't think everybody necessarily has that call, but if you have it, if it's within you and you have this feeling that you want something more, you want something different, you want to live differently than maybe people around you right now, follow that because you're so right, Nick. Like it's gonna be something that once you're like 80, 70 and so on, you're gonna look back and think like, why didn't I just go for it? Right.
Yeah.
And again, even if you're like in your 30s, your 40s, one thing, especially working with some, let's say, more senior clients and audiences, is really that it's never too late. I think that's the most important thing to realize. I've heard stories of women starting, their solo traveling journeys at like 50 and over, right? And so really it's about following what you want and following your curiosity. Like give yourself the benefit of the doubt that maybe there is a reason why you're feeling and thinking certain ways, and it's almost like this little cricket near you,
Yep.
like, right, like in
Yeah.
Pinocchio. It's a, the little cricket telling you like, okay, you should go. But yeah, so having that little cricket near you, right, and having these thoughts, it's there's usually a reason why, and exploring it again, it doesn't mean that if it's something that at the end doesn't work out for you, there's no way back. Well, more than way back, it's more like there's no other turn you can take, right? There's a lot of this going back to that straight line that I was mentioning before. A lot of this is like it's just forward. You can go forward or you can go back, and not thinking about that. Sometimes you just can take a different turn, right? Going back is hard. I think every experience changes you in a way or the other. So you'll never be exactly back to what you were before. It's just by default in life, right? But you keep on moving forward, and there's always different branches that you can take in this beautiful, I love to say it like our life is like, like the tree of life, right? And so there's so many different branches, there's so many different options, and there's no right formula to live it. And so I think remembering that and removing a bit of that stress that like, my God, if I don't like it, this is gonna like ruin my whole like, next a billion years. No,
Yep.
it's not,
No,
it's not
that's
gonna
not.
happen. You're gonna learn something about yourself. You're gonna, meet people. There's gonna
Mhm.
be something that you can take from that experience. And if you don't like it, you can always turn and choose something else.
Definitely. And like, I'm only 33, but I'm like looking back, it's like I wish I would have got started on the path I'm on now 10 years earlier. It's like, so no matter where you are in life, like, if you have that desire, go for it. I don't care if you're 18, 30, 40, 50, 60, just go for it. Live the life you want. People are so afraid of failing.
Yeah,
I went through this with one of my clients, and it's the 7 layers of why. So if you have a fear, figure out like what your top fear is, and then ask yourself, why are you scared of that? And then ask yourself, okay, now why am I scared of this? And then keep going down, because you're gonna get to a point where you can't come up with an excuse anymore, and you're like, okay, it's actually not that bad. Like, yeah, this could all happen, but I'll be able to start back up again. You know,
that's such
do
a good
it,
point.
do
The
it
fear of
better.
failure. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
it. That's what often blocks us. That
yeah.
unknown, right? That it feels scary.
Well,
And then,
because people want to feel safe,
yes.
so that's why you know a lot of people settle for a job they don't really like, and but it's safe. They get the income that they need to live, and they're satisfied, but they're not happy with life.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And yeah, not knowing what's on the other side keeps that fear in place, right? And it's just the moment you're able to get over, just take that one step further of that fear and just see what's on the other side, and then you're like, I would say 90% of the time you realize, oh, actually this is so fine. It's just like
Yeah,
I didn't know it was here, and so your brain, in that sense, right? Like it's survival mode. Like your brain is there to protect you, and so it injects fear when it's something that it doesn't recognize, something that it hasn't experienced before, right? Because it wants to keep you safe, it wants to protect you. So it's almost like biological that that's the first instinct. And so I think you said something really important here, where it's like taking a moment to even reflect why we feel that feeling, in this case fear, and kind of digging deeper and becoming also almost like also more logical about that fear sometimes can help overcome it and actually like taking that step further that you need to take.
yeah, I agree 100%, 100%. So, anybody listening, if you got dreams, just go for it. Just make it happen. Now, you've traveled a ton. So, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, oh yeah, true, because exactly, my life has definitely not been A to B. I've been moving since a very young age, at first with family. So again, I'm Italian,
Same
but
here.
yeah, I think we mentioned that, right? This is something we connected on.
Yeah, so I'm on my 18th move, and
Mm,
I've only moved twice, like without my parents, So once I moved out at 21, I got my first house, and then 3 years later, I bought the house I'm in now. So,
that's
but
awesome.
yeah, growing up, we were moving all the time. So I kind of understand a little bit. I just didn't get to move to cool places like you.
So, oh well, it's, I feel like it's always, the grass being greener on the other side. I feel like in North America, it's like, okay, everywhere in Europe is so cool. And so
Yeah.
everybody wants to go there. And
Yeah.
then in Europe, you have people who are like, oh my God, but you grow up like also watching all the movies, right? Set in North America. And you're like, oh, look at that. That's so
I want
cool.
to go there. Yep.
Exactly. But yeah, so been moving a lot, and you can probably relate, is also starting from zero, and learning. For me, it was also about learning languages, right? It's been a big part of my life. I had to learn English. I had to, well, I didn't have to, but I ended up learning Spanish and German, which I'm very grateful for at the same time, because I generally think that every language opens up a piece of the world, and a piece of your mind, and stuff like that. I think there's something really deep in learning languages beyond just I can communicate, or maybe more as an outcome of being able to communicate to different people in their language. And so it was definitely, like the first time I moved abroad, I was 12 without speaking anything besides Italian. And I want to say that's probably one of the most pivoting moments or chapters of my life, because you're 12, you're already dealing, well, I didn't know then, I know now that I'm older, but you're already dealing with everything that is being a teenager. But then you're putting a layer of not being able to communicate, or
Which is hard.
yeah, it just gives it that extra hard when you're like in this phase of life where you like, peer appreciation is more important than like even in your 20s, or even less so in your 30s, where you're like, I'm selecting people now. I'm
Yep.
happy with five. But when you're a
Amen to that.
teenager, it's different, right? You want
Yeah.
everybody,
You
like you
want
have this.
everybody to like you. Yep.
Exactly, yeah, and you want to
Yep.
connect, and it's all these like different dynamics that you have in even in school. And so not being able to communicate was just like, I would say, like an extra layer of making it harder, right? Because then I couldn't express myself. It's even like at the level of like my personality, right? And I think actually my personality changed even further because of that experience, because I had to go. I mean, saying that I went out of my comfort zone is an understatement. I think I went like beyond um, my shell and all of that, right? And then once I learned English more, of course, then things became better, and then I was able to communicate. I was able to make more friends that didn't necessarily speak Italian, and so many doors open. And I don't think I would be here without that experience. Um, so yeah, the first year abroad, my experience was definitely not easy, and that's why I think I'm a bit more sensitive when I'm in environments and I see somebody who, for example, doesn't know the language, or feels a bit of, maybe outsider because they can't like follow what the group is saying, things like that. Like I feel very sensitive towards that, because that's what I've experienced too. But at the same time, I'm glad I've experienced it, because I think travel already gives you that extra empathy, that extra care, and trying to put yourself in other people's shoes. But I think also having this kind of experiences, and of course everybody has different ones, this is the one I had, where you're like that outsider, that in a way marginalized, um not because people were necessarily mean, it's just because of not being able to talk to each other, right?
Yep.
And so it's something I think that puts things in perspective as you grow up, for sure. Especially when I think about the people who really try to, like, like the first couple of international friendship I had with this couple of girls, and they were like trying to speak Italian to me, and like, I love speaking Italian, I'm gonna try now. And like the kindness that goes through, or comes through even without speaking the language, I think that was a big, yeah, learning. And obviously it's even clearer now that I'm not, living it.
Yep. Now, I want to ask you, because you're someone who's learned multiple languages, what is the best way to learn a new language?
Oh. feel this
Yeah.
is an episode in
Because it's
itself.
something that I wanna do at some point. I only know English. I tell people I have a hard enough time speaking English. I don't know if I can speak
Oh,
another language, but
I feel
I
you,
would
yeah.
love to at least learn so I can understand.
Mm. I mean, to be honest, and also I always joke that I speak four languages, but also always say I'm like bilingual, as in bilingual, because after a while you get like start mixing all the words.
Yeah.
Sometimes your brain just switches off, so that's
Yeah.
also totally normal. But to be honest, like the best tip I can think of for somebody who's starting to learn a second language is really like just just start, right? I think sometimes we're like so kind of overthinking about,
Yeah.
okay, what do I need to do? Do I start with grammar? Do I start with vocabulary? Just start with putting yourself, whether it is reading a book or whether it is starting to put like little videos on YouTube, put subtitles in that language during a movie. Anything to just starting exposing yourself will always be good. And then if you're like, okay, I want to get, let's say, more serious about it, I actually want to start communicating. I think the best way to do that is, of course, putting yourself. I mean, obviously, the main thing is as much as you can immerse yourself in that language. It's just that sometimes you physically can't be around people who speak XYZ language, right? And so finding ways to combine grammar, which now you can find in a lot of different places. You can like start learning the sounds and then the articles, right? I always, at least this is my approach grammar wise with languages, is always start with being able to build a very basic sentence and then grow from there, right? And so approaching language with that is like, okay, you have like an article, a noun, a verb, and then an adjective. Start with that. That's your basic sentence. And then you can build upon it. Um, but always combine grammar with reading, with listening, trying to speak, even if you're babbling things that feel like they make no sense. Because I think one thing that I've seen in the Italian education system, actually with English or teaching English, is concentrating only on grammar. And I feel like you can get so good at grammar, but then you have all the other fears of actually putting yourself out there speaking, which is anyway very scary because you're like, it's very vulnerable to speak another language. You're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
they're judging my accent. They're judging this, the tone.
Especially English. English is the hardest.
It's, yeah, I mean, probably like, I mean, German is pretty hard
Is it?
grammatically.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, right. I feel like any second language can be like a hard language because it's just, in a way, you are thinking differently, right? I mean, the language reflects a lot also the way of thinking, right? And the way, in a way, you're analyzing concepts and reality. And that's how languages also have developed and have developed differently as well. And so it would always be very daunting, right? But I think like if from the start you put yourself in that uncomfortable position of like, I'm just gonna say even three words, I'm just gonna say like a basic sentence, don't even know if it's right. I'm gonna listen to something and kind of like, listen first with a transcription, then trying to just listen without anything, right? And just getting comfortable with even just the facial movement of that mouth, the sounds that you need to make in that language,
Yep.
listening and not being able to understand everything. Right. And so I find like doing that from the get go can really help because if you concentrate only with grammar, you may have the perfect grammar, but then you'll always be too scared to use it.
Yeah, I definitely agree, like, listening really helps. Like,
Hmm.
I took Spanish, way back in, like, middle school, I think, and, I basically lost it all now. I can count to 10 or something, but, um,
It's something.
years ago, there was this Spanish song in a movie I liked, and I learned that whole song
I love
because
that.
I loved the song. I didn't know what they were saying when I first heard. But then I went and looked up I looked up on YouTube, like, English, subtitles for the song. I was like, "Huh,
That's
cool."
perfect. That's
But
exactly
yeah.
it. And maybe
Mhm.
this is the way you more easily learn a language, right? Because that's the other thing I've learned, like especially working with students. I mean, again, your own journey in life is unique as much as your own learning style. And so one thing that I like to do with like newer students is also the first 30 days really challenge, like every day doing a little challenge, taking up to 5 minutes. And it's, for example, listening to a song, watching something, and that way reading, speaking, like recording yourself speaking or reading out loud, and that way you also realize a bit what works best for you. So I've had students like you where we're like, the music, the song, that was the way to go for them, right? And they really improved. And then others were more like just reading, and that was what helped them more. I really think that finding that in the first even month of learning the language can help, because especially if you're not in the country, or you don't have people around you where you can just go and speak to them, you have to immerse yourself, and the only way is by adding even 10 minutes a day of that language, like as much as you can, making it almost like a, if you're meditating, for example, every day, well, add that to that kind of routine, maybe in the morning, maybe in the evening, to keep it fresh. And
That's
so
called habit stacking.
exactly, exactly. And to be honest, like it's, even when you're more advanced, like this is at any point in time, it's good to have something. For example, for me, movies. I love to watch movies in the language. This is something that has helped me a lot with all the languages I've learned. And it's something I still do because, for example, here in North America, there's not much, going on in German
No,
or right. And I'm like, I don't
no.
want to lose the languages. And if you're not exposed to it, even Italian for that matter, sometimes it's hard to, switch the language and so on, no matter how advanced you are. So it's always good to find the method that helps you keep it fresh in your head.
Thank you for those tips. That's super helpful. And I'm gonna start doing that probably tomorrow, actually, because now
There
you
you
got me
go. It's
curious.
your
I'm like,
Spanish
I
learning
want to
starting.
learn. Yeah. So let's talk more about your business. So how you help people?
Yeah, so actually my business started off on the academy side. I've always been big in education. I believe that's a very important piece of our lives. And
Definitely.
so, again, building those courses and programs for language learners, specifically Spanish and Italian in my case. But then also the part of like career. I think because, again, my own career has also not been A to B. Like you move often. Every time you change country, also, you have to like almost build experience in that country, right? So I've definitely had a varied career looking back, before entering more of like business development and marketing, which is where I ended up in corporate eventually. But I think it's been important. And so part of what I wanted to do was helping people figuring that out. I think sometimes we're like in those in between chapters of life and we feel a bit lost in what we want to do. And I think nowadays it's more and more important to also align it with the lifestyle that you want. And so, a lot of the people I help are people so that I think you mentioned at the beginning, actually, people who want a bit of location freedom, right? Whether they want to travel full time or they just want to travel more, just don't want to have to worry of like being physically somewhere.
Yep.
And so for those who, can do that, they want to figure out how to do that. And that's kind of like where I like to help and mentor others so that they can, you know, find also like a lifestyle connected to their career and vice versa,
Yep.
that makes them feel more fulfilled. I guess that's what I mean.
Amazing. I love what you do because you're helping people do and live the life I want. I just gotta get this, business, to the next level, and I'm good. Think the first thing that I'm gonna do is, well, probably not the first, but at some point, I want to buy an RV and travel the country.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
yes. Okay.
yeah. So
Manifesting. This is you
yes,
telling the universe. I love
definitely,
that. Yes.
definitely.
Yes.
Because
I'm
that's like,
waiting for the pictures on social.
oh yeah, they'll be there. Don't
Yes.
worry. But yeah, that's one thing that I've always wanted to do. Used to go camping when I was a kid. A few years ago, I had my own camper, but I don't have it anymore. I blew a tire on the way home and it totaled it out. So that's gone. But Yeah, so I think it'd be just amazing just to go and just not really know where you're going. Like, just drive until you get to a cool location, stop, hang out there for a few days, hit the road again. And, like, technology's amazing these days. You know, you can have internet service wherever you are, basically. Thanks to Elon, he's kinda making that happen. So, yeah, so, you know, you can just go and run your business wherever you are.
Yeah, that's exactly, and I think especially I would say in US, Canada, like there's a lot of places that are like very van life friendly. And I
Yep,
think that's also why more
definitely.
people are doing that. And as you said, I think maybe even more so in the US, like a lot of RV kind of like parks, and you can just like camp there for whatever amount of times. And usually it's like open enough that you can just have like the satellite to have internet, or even they have internet sometimes on those. So you can figure it out for sure. Like you can be like, okay, I'm gonna be in the wild, but then I have to work, and you can find a way to be somewhere with
Definitely.
internet.
And yeah, like there's RV parks everywhere. Like just in my county, which a county's not very big, I bet you we have 8 of them. Like they're just everywhere. So
Wow.
you and like you are right. Like the U.S. is kind of set up better for big RVs like that. Yeah, but it's just set up better for big trucks in general. So
Yeah, no, there's definitely a big RV trailer community. Like
yeah,
I would say particularly in the US, and then Canada in the areas that are more
yeah,
populated.
definitely, definitely. Awesome. Now, how can the audience reach out to you and work with you?
Yeah, so I mean, the OCW.academy, that's the Instagram for the academy that I've mentioned before. So again, you can always DM, like if you have questions or want to have a conversation, always happy to have that. And then of course also the website, ourconnectedworld.ca. So those probably are the best ways to connect with me.
Awesome. And then I gotta ask you, my slogan is your abilities are infinite. What does that mean to you?
I think that it means that you can create your own opportunities in life. And so you can make the life that you want to live, and you have that power.
Definitely, definitely. Now, I gotta ask because I'm so curious. How many times have you moved?
I actually don't know. I should
Okay,
probably look at.
that's
I
understandable. I know it's a lot.
All I know is that I've lived like physically like for longer periods of times in 8
Yeah,
countries.
8.
But in 8 countries, yeah. So across Europe and North America, I've lived in 8 different countries. But the thing is that I've moved so often within also those countries. So yeah, from a living perspective, as in being, whether a student or a worker or an expat or an immigrant for that moment. Like now, I'm an immigrant, ready to
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
So, yeah, 8 countries, but within that, it's so many. I can't even count.
yeah.
Sometimes
That's
I was like, I've been quite nomadic to the point that every like even 3 months, even if I was more stable, even every 3 months, I would make a move. So can't count. I think.
yeah. Hey, I think it's really cool, you know, because you've seen a lot, you've experienced a lot, and you're grateful for a lot. You know,
A lot to be grateful for.
yeah, I can tell. Like you show good gratitude every day because you've seen, you know, probably circumstances that aren't good to live in. You know, you've seen it. You've seen how some people have to live, and it's yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and I think that's what travel brings, right? I think like I'm
yeah,
very grateful also of all the travels I've done in such. I mean, it's five in 5 different continents. You see, again, it always feels like you're not seeing enough, and it's probably true. Like, I mean, there's so much more to see, and there's so much more
yeah,
to explore. But every country you whether visit or you live in, every place you go to, like it really teaches you something. And like I think that's the beauty of travel. Like it opens up. You see different perspectives. You see how different lifestyles. it makes you think about your own life, your own also privileges in certain situations, right? And so puts things into perspective for sure.
Definitely, definitely. All right, Robin. This has been really good. So thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much, Nick, for having me. It was a pleasure.
Of course. If you enjoyed this show, please go ahead and share it on your Instagram story and tag me here, the Nick Yerhart. Also, go ahead and share it anywhere else that you see fit, because the only way that I can grow this is by you guys sharing it. I don't sell anything on here. I don't have any sponsors, so let's just get it out there by word of mouth and help more people. Alright, everyone, remember your abilities are infinite.